Hello and welcome back to the Courtroom Advocate channel. My name is Miriam Washira. In the past week, several people have asked me, now that you have told us so many things about child abuse, how would I tell that my child is being abused? So today I'm going to give you some signs that you can look out for, or signs that can tell you that your child is being abused. To start us off is inappropriate interest or knowledge in sexual matters. If your child has some deep knowledge about sexual things, it could be a sign that they're being abused. And later on, when we look at the different forms of abuse, you realize that exposing a child to inappropriate materials is a form of abuse. So if your child knows a bit too much, more than their age appropriate, then it could be a sign that they're being abused. The next one is seductiveness. If your child all of a sudden is becoming very seductive, you know, how they pout, how they move their lips, you know, if they're showing some, you know, they're going out to attract the boys or the girls, it could be that there's something wrong. Please note that I'm not saying every part of it is wrong, but if it's overboard, if it's very constant, if it's the only thing they want to do all of a sudden, then it could be a sign that they are watching or they are having access to materials that they should not be having. The other one is avoidance of any topic related to sexual matters or anybody. When you want to talk about the body parts or your child is very resistant or avoids that topic. For instance, if your child is a teenager and you want to talk about their relationship with boys and they really don't want that topic, or they become angry and avoid that topic, it could be a sign that something is not right. The other one is nightmares. If all of a sudden your child who was sleeping very well starts having nightmares, it could be a sign of some kind of trauma. It could be a sign that they are being abused. So go deep to know why all of a sudden are they having nightmares. Of course, some nightmares could be caused by a simple thing as of watching a horror movie, but also just know, if they say it's a movie, get to know what movie, what was in the movie. Just dig, ask more questions. Don't be satisfied with just a simple answer, I watched a movie. It could be something else, especially if it is continuous, and then it's also occurring and there's bedwetting. If all of a sudden your child starts bedwetting, it could also be a sign that they're being abused or they're going some kind of trauma. So if your child was not bedwetting before, they had stopped bedwetting, and all of a sudden it comes back and it's constant, or after every few days they're bedwetting, it could be something. Look out what is stressing them out. It's a sign that either the child is stressed or going through some trauma. So look out and ask, why are you bedwetting yourself? So get to know what is causing it. The next one is drastic change in appetite. If your child was eating so well and all of a sudden they do not want to eat, it could be a sign that something is wrong. Also, if your child all of a sudden the only thing they want to do is eat and eat, you're thinking, are you eating for the world or is there a competition? It could be also a sign of trauma. So get to observe your child. You need to be very close. Some of the signs, you need to be very close to your child and know your child's habits for you to pick them. But what I would say, you pick them especially if there is a combination of different signs, then you know for sure something is wrong. The other one is over compliance. If a child is totally over compliance, it's a sign of abuse. Some parents will say, no, my children are very disciplined, everything I say they must do. We all know we have choices, and children don't have to do everything they are told. And if there's no resistance at all, if there's over compliance, then it's a sign that there's something wrong. I'll give you an example. I visited a family and the food that we were served was very salty, and for us it was not even palatable. We're like, no, we can't eat food, but one of the child in that house said, no, this food is not salty, it's very good, mommy makes very good food. And the child kept on eating the food very fast and looking at the mother, and I thought, this child is totally abused. If a child does not have the leeway to say, mommy, this food is not palatable, if they feel they must eat it, then it tells me that the relationship between the two is wrong. Either I could tell there was a lot of beating happening, which was going beyond discipline. So if there's just a lot of over compliance, it's a sign that a child is being abused. The other one is excessive aggressiveness. So there are those children in the families, they want to beat their siblings, they want to beat anyone they can beat, being very aggressive, even their own parents. I've seen children who are very aggressive to their parents. There are those who have medical conditions, and it's understandable, but there's that kid who was very calm, and all of a sudden they become very aggressive towards everyone, whether it's by shouting, it's whether by hitting. It could be a sign that something is going wrong. And especially those children that go to daycare, or you're living with babysitters, and then all of a sudden your child becomes very aggressive towards you. You need to know, why are they picking this? So it's either the person who is taking care of your child is very aggressive, so the child is picking that behavior from them. If all of a sudden they come and they're using abusive words towards you, then somebody's abusing them, and you should not take it casually. You should not laugh it off. You should actually dig and get to know exactly what is happening to your child. The other sign is fear of a family member or a certain person. So if all of a sudden your child has this uncle, auntie, cousin that they do not want around, or they are very fearful around, or when they come in they sit straight, and sometimes it happens. I know, like most families, especially the old age, when fathers came in, the children will run to the bedroom. I'm not talking to that kind, though even that was some form of abuse, because why would you run when your father comes in? It's because most of them will come, abuse and beat everybody in the family. That's why we're hiding. It's a sign that some abuse is happening. So if a mother comes in and the kids were very happy with the house help, but all of a sudden when the mother comes, the kids are very fearful, then you're abusing your children. You're not even disciplining them. That is a form of abuse. If they had a favorite uncle or somebody, and all of a sudden they are very fearful of them, get to the bottom of it. Why don't you like them nowadays? Why are you fearful? And you can observe signs of fears. It could be withdrawal, it could be silence, hiding from the person, avoiding their touch. It could be a sign of abuse. And that leads us also, I've mentioned withdrawal. The other one is secretiveness and depression. So if all of a sudden your child becomes very withdrawn, they do not want to spend time with family, they want to stay in their room, they don't want to interact with friends, and withdrawal can also be a sign of depression. So if your child is depressed, get to know, why are they getting depressed, and I know there's a difference between sadness and depression. So just getting to know, if there's a change in the mood of your child, you need to know why, because it could be a sign that they are being abused. The next thing to observe is suicidal behavior, and that goes together with self-injury. If all of a sudden your child has suicidal behaviors, you need to know why. I think that is one of the most extreme signs of child abuse. So if a child has any suicidal behavior or self-injury behaviors, it tells you that there is some abuse going on. We have talked about eating disorders. The other one to observe is torn, stained or bloody underwear. In one of my other stories, I told you the story of the mother who observed that by the time she comes home, the daughter's underwear was always wet and somebody had tried cleaning it up, So it was such a simple thing, but actually when the mother realized that there was some abuse happening to their girl, just by, she observed that several times I've come, your panties is washed. Why are you washing your panties? You don't wash your panties. We wash your panties when I'm bathing you, or I'm the one who does it. So who all of a sudden is doing it? So just observing your child's clothing can tell you whether they are having any abuse. The other one is itchy and painful genitalias. So if there is that change, kindly observe it. Bruises or bleeding in the genitalias also could be a sign that something is wrong. The other sign is inappropriate sex play with toys. So if your child all of a sudden is over touching or over curious about the private parts of a toy, they want to, maybe they're playing with it, you see the way they're playing with their fingers, it could be a sign that somebody try to do that to them, or all of a sudden they're very interested with the breast, and maybe even you'd see some toys where they put together and they're imitating a sexual act. It's time to ask, where did you see that? How do you know about that? It could be a sign that they are being abused. Also, fascination with pornography, or access to pornography, that is a sign of abuse. The other one is fear of touch. If your child does not want to be hugged, all of a sudden anytime somebody extends their hands to touch them, they withdraw or they jump off, it is a sign that actually somebody must have had a bad touch with them. So they are fearing any touch that comes their way. So observe if your child all of a sudden does not want to be touched, it could be a sign that something is wrong. The other one is abuse of animals or pets. So if all of a sudden your child has a pet, it could be a cat, a dog, whatever pet they have, and all of a sudden they want to abuse that pet, it could be just hitting the pet, banging the pet, calling the pet's name, it could be a sign that something is wrong, because that is not normal. Children are very caring when it comes to their pets, they want to cuddle them and so on, but all of a sudden it become very rough with their pets, then somebody is being rough with them. If they're becoming very sexual with their pets, somebody is being very sexual with them. So you need to observe and do something about it. The other one is masturbation, and especially masturbation in public. I know every child at one age they are experimenting, but it's done in private. But all of a sudden, if your child becomes very explicit with the masturbation, they want to masturbate everywhere, in public, it could be a sign that they are being sexually abused. There could be other things, there are other small signs like cross-dressing. If it's overdone, it could be a sign that something is happening. So what I'm saying is that most of these signs need to be combined. So don't just see one thing and jump to the conclusion your child is being abused. So it's for you to look out for different signs. If you observe like 2 or 3 signs, then for sure there's some abuse happening, and you need to investigate. So anytime you see it happening, you need to investigate it deeper. The other sign is actually fear of family members. I think I'd mentioned that, or houses. One of the things we like as Africans, we love to visit people's houses, and we let our children visit people's houses. If all of a sudden a child had a favorite homestay they used to visit, and all of a sudden they don't want to go to it, there must be a reason. So ask, why don't you want to go to that house? It could be if you live in apartments or in flats, maybe your child was very friendly initially to your caretaker, and all of a sudden they see them, they keep running, they don't want to relate to them. It could be a sign that something is happening. So as I've said, look out for different combination. There could be others, those were just some of them, and maybe I'll do another video with more of the signs, but look for a combination. And when you see something, investigate. And the other lesson you need to know, the other thing you need to know is that always believe your child. If your child tells you they're abused, the first thing you do, believe them. Don't doubt them. Look out for the next video.